Hey there everyone, what's up? Back today with another impressions video, and today's my day off and I haven't, maybe you can say I haven't shaved, and I'm like, haven't combed my hair or anything. I've just been like sitting around all day, which is, par for the course on a Wednesday off. I guess it's not really much to do, at least not right now, there's not. So, I'm just playing some games, sitting around at home. But today I've figured I'd make a video, and we're we're gonna be talking today about this little sucker right here, DmC, Devil May Cry, and this this is something I'll give a background on it. You know, I Devil May Cry, the first one, was actually the first game I actually bought for the PS2. Um, I didn't actually own my own PS2. I was living with a friend at the time, and he had one, so I didn't buy one. I was just using his, so I didn't really buy that many games. But when Devil May Cry came out, it was the first game I bought, and I remember it being 2001 because it was actually around the first time I'd ever come to Japan. So it was, Devil May Cry time at that point. But like, actually, the day before I first came to Japan, I stayed up the whole night playing Devil May Cry, and then went to the airport in the morning. So, Devil May Cry is something I have good memories of. And I played every game in the series, and I have them. I'm not going to flip the camera around, but they're all up there. And I've when this game DMC came was announced, I was. I'll admit I'm pretty excited. I saw the new design for Dante, and unlike most people who raged, I thought, oh, I kind of like the new design. It looks pretty cool to me. Um, Maybe I guess I'm in the minority there though. But I actually did like the new design for Dante, and then when they released the first gameplay video, I thought it looks awesome. Like the environments look great, and I was pretty excited for what was going to come out. So I actually had this game pre-ordered for since pre-orders were available, and I've just been waiting for it to come out. So it came out last week, and I've since played through it twice, and I'm on the Son of Sparta playthrough. I actually played. I want to say I played through twice, but I probably combined of all the times I went back to play each stage. I played at least each stage more than once. Let's say that instead of I played through the game twice. But yeah. Anyway, let's start what I thought about the game altogether. And I was pretty excited for it. So anyway, you get into the story, and the first thing you'll notice about it is, of course, Dante is different. He's different from the other Dante, the original Dante, in that he's a bit more realistic, in the sense that, like, okay, let's, like, for example, the original Dante is, he's kind of like, he looks like a early 90s J-rocker, and he has this kind of like goofball attitude. And it wasn't originally like that, but it just got to the point where it's goofy. Like, he's blazing hot licks or whatever to attack enemies, and like, it's just, for example, in Devil May Cry 4, he's like surfing on the back of a demon eating pizza. Like, he might as well be a Ninja Turtle at that point. Like, and not even the good Ninja Turtles, like the good, like, Eastman and Laird black and white comic Ninja Turtles. We're talking like fourth season, like, Archie Comics Ninja Turtles, like, just ridiculous, kind of like not even cool anymore. And like, so yeah, I'm pretty happy with what they did to Dante in this. Actually, he's like, as a character, I like the new Dante. He's interesting. I mean, he's kind of a dick, but he's a likable dick in the sense that, like, at first he just doesn't give a fuck, and then he just kind of, he gets more responsible throughout the game, and it's good. So, the character is immediately different, and the the theme of the game is quite different, actually, in that, like, it's not like kind of one castle or something, or a cave, or whatever the other types of, like, settings for the other DMC games were. It's quite varied. There's like the first stage you're in is a kind of carnival, and it's really, yeah, I have to say that like this game looks amazing. Like it really looks good, and the way the scenery pulls itself apart and moves around, and you have to like manipulate it, and there's lots of cool platforming. It all looks great, and you look. You know, there's lots of times where I just like stop and look around. You have to look around to search for things anyway, but like it's cool to look around. You can see like off into the distance. You can see like kind of a cool type of scenery or whatever, and it all comes. It's all designed quite well, and it's like played well with the colors. It's all really nice. It's probably the best looking DmC game, and the most varied as well. In that there's a lot of different types of scenes where you sometimes, you know, like you're in that carnival, sometimes you're actually in buildings like a high rise, and sometimes you're in like this weird kind of trippy club thing where it's like around you is music and stuff. It's pretty awesome. Like I had no complaints about the visuals of the game. What else? The gameplay itself is different. It's not your standard Devil May Cry, but that's not a bad thing. It's not. I mean, if you're going into it and you're like really hoping for more Devil May Cry, like a Devil May Cry 5, you're gonna be disappointed because it's not that. But what it is a solid action game with a lot of variation and a lot of cool comboing. And you know, beyond the thing that everyone like who is a hater is complaining about is that like, oh, it's too easy to get SSS rank or whatever. And yeah, it is easy. I mean, you can do it pretty quickly, but the point is not like it's not really focused on that so much. And I know like the previous DmC games are, so you know, people who are like purists will be not very happy with that. But I didn't find myself like really caring, even though I did care about it in the previous DmC games, where like, you know, I had to really try to get that kind of stuff. And now I just don't care. I'm thinking like I want to do the cool platforming, and I want to run around and find stuff, and I want to do, you know, kind of make my own kind of combos and stuff. It's pretty, you know, it's not like you don't have the combo building that you had in the other games. It's just different, and you can use multiple weapons and use multiple attacks in your combos to get good things. But of course, on the basic settings for the game, it is not very challenging. And like, if you play on Devil Hunter, you know, it's not incredibly hard. You won't find yourself getting killed a lot. But you know, once you start playing on like Son of Sparta or something, or Dante Must Die, you'll be it's challenging. It's not easy. You know, in some cases, like in the Devil Hunter mode, like I'm ranked 50th in the world on some stages. Like I'm not even like a crazy good DmC player, but like it just shows you like it's kind of easy. But it's the kind of thing where like, you know, if you really care about that, you're probably not gonna like it. But if you just want a kind of fun action game, then you've got a good one here, because this one is probably one of the better ones I can think of. So let's talk about another thing that was a good point for me, and that was actually the story. And I know a lot of people complained about the story and the dialogue, but it's actually like it's a lot better than previous DmC games. Even though it's not like incredibly in depth, at least the story is like it's pretty straightforward, and it's easy to understand in the sense that like, if I've played all the DmC games and I kind of understand what's the story, but like, you know, I have friends who've played it and they're like, you know, I just played DmC and it's the first Devil May Cry game where I actually understand the story, and you know, that's like a reasonable complaint. I mean, I've never had any trouble, but I know like if you're not paying attention, it's pretty easy to just be like, what the hell is going on? Who are these people? What is going on? But in this story, it's pretty good. It's good in the sense that like, it's, you know, it's pretty straightforward. But the problems I had with it is that it's actually not fleshed out enough. Like, it seems like there should have been more. Like, there should have been some kind of story elements where, like, sometimes it seems like things happen and then you're kind of, like, on to a next part, and you have a feeling like there should have been something there, like an explanation, or like how did we get from here to here, and it never shows up. So, it makes me wonder if there were like things that were cut for by time restraints or whatever. But even without that stuff, it's still like a reasonably good story. And I know a lot of people complained about the swearing and stuff, like, oh, there's too much swearing. There's not really. If you've played the game entirely, if you play through the entire thing, there is a lot of swearing in one boss battle. And when I played it, this is the Harpy boss battle. Like, I'm sure you've seen videos of people are like pointing you that way to the Harpy boss battle if they're complaining about the swearing in the game. But if you're an adult and you've heard swearing before, like it's not a problem. And the thing I think they were going for in that was a kind of, how in the 70s Exorcist, how like Reagan is, when she's possessed, like just swears like crazy. She's like, your mother sucks cocks in hell or whatever. And it was exactly that kind of thing. Like the swearing from the demon in that case was exactly that kind of swearing. So like I thought it was like kind of a call off to that. Like it's a demon, demons like in The Exorcist, how like they would be swearing like that. And the Harpy really kind of fit that motif in that she was, this kind of foul-mouthed, crazy demon. Like, it really made me when I had that scene, I didn't think like, oh, this is too much swearing. It's like trying to be edgy. I thought like, oh, it's trying to be like The Exorcist, and that's kind of cool. That's all I thought. Like, if you don't like swearing, if you're like a crazy religious person and you'd really hate swearing or something, it might not be so good for you. But like, otherwise, just think about it like The Exorcist. That's how I did, and it worked out fine. But beyond that, overall, like, the boss battles, they're interesting. Let's see. They're not incredibly difficult, and you can kind of blaze through them on the regular difficulties. When you know what you're doing, it's like 2 minutes, you're done with pretty much all the boss battles. And even Mundus at the end is pretty easy once you know what you're doing. Like, it's not so difficult. It's just, dodge, repel, attack. That's basically it. So, but I didn't really feel that, even though the boss battles weren't incredibly challenging. Like, I didn't feel they were bad or anyway. I thought they were designed well, and I think the story elements for the boss battles are more important than the battles themselves, which was kind of good. Like, I liked the Bob Barbas battle where you're kind of jumping into TV broadcasts and stuff. I thought that was pretty interesting. And, there's kind of other interesting things, like the Mundus Spawn battle is kind of gross. Like, it's grotesque in a way that's like none of the other battles are. So it's kind of guttural. You have like a reaction to it when when it's happening. It's kind of like, oh, I don't want to see that. But it's kind of that's what makes it good. It makes it interesting and fun, even though the battle itself isn't that difficult, and you can kind of just destroy the bosses pretty quickly. I think this game wasn't. If you really just want to go through it on the normal difficulty, it's not really about the challenge. It's just about how fun it is. Like, it's fun to jump off the walls. It's fun to repel using 2 different types of grappling hooks. It's fun to like jump through the stages quickly. It's fun to like blow through groups of enemies and get your SSS ranking really quickly. It's fun. It's not like it's not a slog. Like a lot of the past DmC games, I felt like, I want to play through on these higher difficulties, but it's not as fun to play through it again, even though I kind of know what I'm doing. Whereas in this one, I don't really have that feeling. It feels like, I can play this stage a bunch of times, and it's fun every time because I can kind of blow through it, even on the higher difficulties, once you have the comboing down. And you will after you play through on a lower difficulty. You can kind of blow through even the tougher enemies. Like, you'll get 3 chainsaw guys and like two of each different colored demons, and you'll be forced to use all different types of attacks, and it's kind of fun on the higher difficulties. So what can I say? I'm kind of rambling at this point, but you probably expect it from me at this point, because all of my impressions videos are not scripted. I just kind of chucking them at you off the top of my head. But which is why they're impressions and not reviews, because I'm too lazy to do reviews anymore. I guess. I mean, I actually have wrote up a bunch, but I'm not going to do them because I'm too lazy to edit them and whatever. But any of that, we'll finish this. So overall, DMC, is it worth $60? And I paid more than that. I mean, I'm in Japan. Costs for new games are much higher, so I paid about $70 or $75 or something for DMC. And is it worth it? It was worth it for me. I would pay that again because the main campaign. Probably you could beat it in what, 7 hours, I guess. I don't know. It took me much longer than that because I kept going back to unlock doors and find secret stuff. So it took me, like, I think I've put about 20 hours into the game already, and that's just from redoing stages and going through on different difficulty levels and whatever. So I don't actually ever know how long it took because I didn't do like play through the entire game in one stretch and then go back. I've been like progressing a little and then going back and progressing a little and going back. So overall playtime, I don't know, but it's not that long. But none of the DMC games are long. All of them are. I mean, I think you can probably beat the first one in 6 hours, and you can beat two in like 4 or 5 hours, and three is the same, 4 or 5 hours maybe. So four, I think, is a little longer, 6 or 7. But this one is about that too. It's pretty spot on for a DMC game. But the point of DMC is not to play through it once. It's to play through on a higher difficulty every time and kind of find all your collectibles, find all your stuff, and that makes it gives it a lot of replay value. And this definitely has a lot of replay value. So is it worth $60 right now? Sure. If you wait like a couple months and it's $40, it's definitely worth it. If you find it for 30, you're like spot on. You should pick it up right away. Anything lower than that, like, it's a must buy. So yeah, that's about it. That's all I'm gonna say about DMC. It was great. Is it a 10 out of 10? No, but is it worth buying at full price? Yes. So I don't know if I had to give it a numerical value. I don't know. It's totally, for me, 8, maybe 9. It's 8.5. I don't know. It's great. It's a great action game. A great kind of hack and slash, and not. I want to stress that it's not a button masher in the sense that like you couldn't mash one button and win. You have to do combos, or you'll never get higher level rankings, and you'll never be able to beat bosses. You won't even be able to clear enemy waves because they'll destroy you. So just think about it. It takes a reasonable amount of comboing to beat anything. So it's not a button masher, but it is a hack and slash in that you will be hitting buttons a lot and you will be doing comboing, but it's good and it's definitely worth it. So if you're on the fence about DMC, or you haven't played it yet and you're kind of interested, or you're just like a casual fan of the old series and you're not like a crazy like it has to be exactly the same way as the other ones, and Dante has to have white hair, which he gets in the game anyway. But yeah, if you're not like that, then you should get it and play it right away. If you're like a crazy old school fan and you refuse to play anything but DMC3, you're not going to like this anyway, so don't buy it. But if you're new to the series, or not like crazy like stringent on how you have to keep the mechanics of a game, then you'll like it. So pick it up. And this was really long, so I'll catch you guys next time.